What is up? Welcome to the Drinkin' Bros Sports MLB show. This is our third episode. I am your host, Rob Fox, and as always, I am joined by Dan Hollaway. He did downgrade his gun this week.
Yeah, it's only a handgun now.
Only a handgun on the desk this week, which is, it was a slow news week, so it's befitting of a smaller caliber.
Well, it's not a slow guest week because we've got John Brenkus on the show. You know him best from looking like a baby, mostly.
Mostly.
Also, Fight Science, ESPN Sports Science. He's the chief marketing officer of Killcliff, one of our partners. Blah, blah, blah. Also, knows a lot about baseball.
Yeah. Actually, before we get into baseball, I was going to say.
Yeah, he's a Virginia guy.
I was going to say, big day for your Cavaliers. Did you watch that game earlier?
I did not. What happened?
I've
literally been in a hole all day.
Drilled a three at the buzzer. Beekman hit a buzzer-beating three to win the game.
Beat Syracuse, yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
There you go. By the way, UVA, I'm just gonna say this with all humility, greatest collegiate sports story of all time. The number one team gets bounced by a 16, the only one in history. That team comes back the very next year as a number one seed overall and wins it all. First of all, it's never happened, nor will it ever happen again.
Yeah.
That is an amazing sports story.
There's not a lot of worst to first stories in college sports at all because it's too hard to construct a team that quickly, right?
Yeah. Well, that wasn't worst at first. It was like
I know,
horrifying collapse.
Yeah. I mean, it's you just don't see those things very frequently in college.
I know. Listen to me. I'm a spiritual guy, and I will tell you the UVA story. The loss to UMBC, what were they? The Fighting Retrievers or something?
Yeah. Something
that
silly.
loss, right, was so humiliating. The next year, God, I don't know if you remember the tournament, but God literally was like there were 3 games, including the championship game, that UVA never should have won, and they won. And so kind of evened out. 1 bad game, 3 miracle games.
Everything regressed to the mean. Well, losing to a 16 seed is the equivalent of 3 normal miracle games. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's the currency.
Everything regressed to the mean, is what really happened. And speaking of regressing, and that's a fun baseball term, but the baseball is regressing to a deadened version of itself.
Yeah.
After a couple of years of the juiced balls that weren't juiced, according to
Ron Yeah. We John, you and I had this conversation not too long ago about how Manfred denied for a year and a half that the ball was different, and then they come out this year, we're like, we're going to deaden the ball down a little bit. Like, oh, great. So just from a physics standpoint, John can attest to this. Having the raised seams, obviously, what Blake Snell did a little breakdown on this. You can search for it and find it. He said it's definitely a different ball. Seams are higher up on it, right?
Yep.
And the ball has it's the core is not as tightly wound or not quite as centered, right? So you're going to get different physics when the ball is struck. Well, first of all, throwing the ball in the first place with high seams is going to allow for much greater breaking pitches, a much higher spin rate on your fastball, right? A lot of that stuff that's a big difference maker and one of the key performance indicators for a pitcher. The other thing is once you hit the ball, there's going to be more resistance the higher those seams are, right?
Right.
There's going to be more resistance, so it's going to, even despite being deadened, it's not going to carry as far because of that as well. There's all kinds of shit going on here. And I've got to beg the question, John, why? Chicks dig the long ball, man. We don't want to see fucking 1-0 games. This isn't soccer.
Let me just tell you, we did a breakdown. This goes back a few years, but in 2010, we did a breakdown for ESPN where they were like, you know what? We want to definitively conclude how many more home runs Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa hit because of steroids.
Right.
Let's break it down. And I'm like, all right. So we literally took every single home run that they hit in their entire careers, their age, their weight and everything. And you took the distance and you took the ballpark and the weather and everything else. And this is a fact. Steroids did not propel the ball farther. It increased the chances of hitting the ball cleanly
in the first place,
because it sharpens your eyesight.
Yeah, that's
so
the
the
biggest
average
difference.
distance of a home run did not increase. The ball did not go farther. So steroids did not play a part in the length of a home run. It was the probability of a home run. Now the deadened ball thing. We did a ton of segments on this. Of course the ball is different. Yeah. Like how could anybody say with a straight face,
the home run
exactly
record for the league was for all of MLB was broken by like this first week of August, I think, in 2019,
they
right? They
shattered it by like 1,000 home runs.
Yeah, it was broken by like the first week of August with like a month and a half left in the season. So obviously something was different. I mean, guys weren't bigger. They weren't swinging faster. They didn't have more force. You're absolutely right about that. I remember that episode, and it was kind of a controversial piece of media because all these old school white baseball writer purists are like, that can't be true. Fuck that. This is fucking the purity of the game. It has nothing to do with any of that stuff. Ultimately, we want the best product on the field, right? So NASCAR, if somebody comes up with a new engine type that's more efficient and it's still safe and everybody can use the same thing, it would be incumbent upon them to allow that to happen because it makes your product better. Your product is not the safety of the players. Your product is not the purity of the game. Your product is the entertainment value that the game provides so you can put it on television to sell fucking advertising. It is a business. Yeah. It is a game. It is a TV show for people to watch.
Anytime that you look at a statistical analysis and you see massive disparities in a short amount of time, something is different. You just say, here is a good example. We did a piece on this, on Chapman. Right? Chapman throwing the 106 mile per hour fastball that was reported. I said, that seems funny. He threw a 106 mile per hour fastball just off the heels of a steroid scandal. So now this pitcher throws a ball not 1%, not 2%, but 3% faster than anybody else on the planet ever in the history of the world. Said, well, what's just the sample size? Just in North America, not counting Japan, not counting South America, not counting anywhere else in the world, there are over 1 million pitches thrown just by major league pitchers. Not counting minor league pitchers, not counting collegiate pitchers. No, it is a statistical impossibility that any one out of a sample size of 1 million could be 3% better. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So we said, let's triangulate the footage. Let's look at this breakdown. Let's take this Chapman 106 mile an hour fastball and compare it to everything else. The MLB wouldn't release the footage. We just kept pressing on it, and guess who never threw 106 ever again? Chapman did not. Hasn't even it didn't happen.
So you think
he threw it really hard?
You think it was just a marketing thing?
It was a total marketing thing. It was a big distraction. Look over here. Look over here. It's 106, and they should have just said it was 104, and then it would have been, we broke it by like half a mile an hour. But when you say something that's so absurd, but most people don't realize that 3% in a sample size of 1 million is absurd.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's like if you extend that out to the presidential election, for example, which has 150 million or so votes, that's like winning by 30%. That's a huge fucking margin when you're talking about data sets that are this large. That is a huge margin.
Yeah, and it's too big. And people always love to go, what about the Bob Beamon jump? I'm like, Bob Beamon broke the world record by 2.5 feet. You want to know why? Because in the history of humanity, there weren't 1 million people who ever tried. It's the long jump. They're like, yeah, of course he broke it by 2.5 feet, because how many people had done it?
Yeah. The whole science thing makes sense to me, right? And pitchers are definitely going to have an advantage this year. It's a good year if you're a pitcher going into your free agent year. This is the best year ever to be a pitcher. You know what I mean? So just like Marcell Ozuna is probably going to regress significantly this year because of all these things. He's a good breaking ball hitter though, so he's probably going to hit more doubles this year than he did last year.
Well, I mean, he wasn't squeaking any out at least. So.
No, he's crushing the ball. I'm just saying he's got a long swing, so we'll see how it works. But he's going to get a lot of breaking shit this year.
So one thing Snell said about the ball that I actually wanted to ask though is one thing he noted in particular is not just the laces being higher but thicker.
Right, yeah.
So he can dig his nails into it more.
Yeah, if you throw a knuckle curve or if you're throwing anything that involves that. But I mean, look, so pitchers back in the day, you don't see it much anymore, but they would either try to raise up a piece of metal on the eyelet of their glove, or they would have sandpaper where they would put, and Nolan Ryan was notorious for this. Apparently, he would grow out a fingernail and just scratch the fucking ball so he could throw his curveball better. I mean, look, it is what it is, right? Now you don't have to do any of that. The seams are doing the job for you.
Yeah.
So breaking pitches are going to be wild as fuck this year. The problem is, though, with the bad breaking balls are worse than bad breaking balls with normal seams. Bad breaking balls hang more, so it may weigh out in the end. You know, you're just going to see more hung pitches and more home runs hit off those.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see, right? You'll probably see a higher batting average on balls in play this year than you would have in previous years because there's going to be more swinging and missing, but the contact will be stronger, right? So we'll see. It'll be interesting to find out what happens either way.
Yeah, the seams actually – so the seams don't increase the rotation of the ball. It just disrupts the airflow more. So actually, this is like a really good question. How many times do you think a ball rotates between a pitcher's hand and home plate?
I would say 100, 110, something like that.
I was more
What do you say?
I honestly thought it was like 500-600 times. That could be fucking insane.
Right. A baseball rotates on average 8 times.
Wow. That's crazy.
Even on a breaking ball. Now think about it.
On a breaking ball, not on a fastball.
Well, on a breaking ball, it actually is not spinning demonstrably faster.
Right.
A knuckleball, obviously, it is spinning demonstrably slower.
Yeah.
But on a breaking ball, it's only spinning 8 times. Now think about it. It's only in flight for 0.4 of a second. So that means it would spin 32 times completely in a second. 24 times.
Yeah.
In roughly 20 times in a second,
Yeah.
which is really fast. But we think like, oh my God, it spins like 100 times. It doesn't. It spins like 8 times. And the other interesting part with the seam, especially on this year, is whoever's going to come along and throw the knuckleball with that. So a knuckleball actually does not dance. Everyone says, it dances. So if you actually take footage of a knuckleball, it's impossible for an object to be propelled forward and to change direction.
It's an optical illusion, right? Because of the seams aren't spinning.
It's an optical illusion that you are projecting.
Yeah.
So you believe the ball is going right, but it goes left. So it dances only in your mind. But when you watch footage, it just breaks one way or the other.
Right. Yeah. It's really interesting. So again, it'll be interesting for nerds like us to see what happens, but for the game itself, it's definitely not going to make the games better. I mean, more strikeouts make the game faster, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
people don't like pitch porn though.
No one likes that. I
like,
mean, if it's in the
I like
playoffs
it.
and it's your team, then people like it. If some dude comes out and really carves somebody up one day, like once every other month or something like that, you'll see a game where ESPN will switch over the 7th thing. Like, this dude is fucking lighting it up today. That's cool, but every single game, nobody's going to watch that shit.
The crazy thing is, though, is like even when someone is doing that, they still, for whatever reason, and I don't get it, they still like the fastball. Like, they'd rather see like Roger Clemens or Randy Johnson just like hook and heat like 100 miles an hour instead of like a just dirty slider.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt very seriously that Greg Maddux ever turned around and looked at the radar gun on the scoreboard after throwing a pitch, and he won 363 games, so maybe he figured some shit out. I don't know. No. Speaking of figuring shit out, the Texas Rangers are allowing 100% capacity at Globe Life, but they're going to require masks. I think that they probably talked internally and talked with the league and were like, you can either go maskless, which is your right to do, and have 50% capacity or something like that, or you can go full balls out, but you got to fucking wear a mask. My guess is they made the latter decision and they're just going to not enforce it, probably, right?
I think this is the wrong move, and not politically. I just don't want to sit with a fucking mask on my face for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I think it'd be way smarter to do 50% capacity and then you restaurant it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
could,
go sit at your table. Because aside from opening day, you're not sold out ever. You might be fake sold out, but like by the second week of April, I mean, maybe there might be more because people miss baseball, but by the second week of April, third week of April, second month, whatever, like it's going to be, when you actually look at the stadium, 50% capacity, whatever. Like there's going to be room in the seats.
Yeah, I would assume that's true. Yeah, and all these baseball stadiums are in bigger cities,
Yeah.
which generally tilt left, right? So are they going to even come out for that, or is it just going to be people from outside the city coming in for every game? Because if that's the case, you're not going to sell out ever.
I actually think that's kind of a miscalculation. I can tell you from Atlanta's not going to be that way. St. Louis
There's a couple.
isn't going to be
There's
that
a couple,
way.
but Boston, New York, all the California teams,
I think Boston,
Seattle, all those teams.
Boston might be like Massachusetts liberal, but those Southies are going to come out.
Yeah, that's true. They'll be fucking breaking bottles over each other's heads.
I think it's a bad move to say anything on attendance because MLB attendance is so pathetic anyway.
Yeah, it has been for a while.
You might as well have just hidden behind. You just might as well just hide behind it while you can.
Yeah.
Don't say, hey, we're opening it up for full capacity. 10 people show up.
But they lost so much revenue last year. I mean, the average team, if you're one of the top 40% of teams that fake, I mean, you call it what you want, but they sell out. People don't always show up, but they've sold all the tickets. They make about $4 million per game in ticket sales per home game. That's quite a bit of money, right? Over the course of the season, that's 82 games, $4 million. That's what the fuck is that? That's like $350 million basically that they make just in ticket sales, not concessions, which are another $47 in the league on average per person that comes. That's 30,000 times 47 times 82. It's a lot of money they're talking about. So I guess they had to choose between the risk of having maskless people running around or trying to get some of that fucking money back. You know what I mean? I mean, the salary cap's already gone down. The salary cap just went down for the NFL as well, and it's going to keep going down until people start watching this shit on TV again, right, John? I mean, they're not watching it on TV.
I mean, this is what I have to say. I don't think there is anybody sitting at home for days, weeks, months on end who was like, you know what? I don't want to sit in my house. I want to go sit in the stands of a baseball game with nobody around and sit there for
with a
7
mask
hours.
On. In the dog days of summer, in fucking in Arlington when it's 110 degrees outside.
Hey man, they got a new one. Globe Life's got a roof now.
That's true. It'll be a crisp 72 degrees in there. Yeah. That's nice. But any of these outdoor stadiums, there's no fucking way, man.
No, it's St. Louis in July and with a mask on.
Yeah,
there's no fucking way.
But we'll see how it turns out. I mean, look, you could still take the mask off anytime you're drinking, and we've got a little chart here that tells us who's drinking the most. Apparently, the average drink per customer per game for White Sox fans is 4.2. Atlanta's 4. So the average fan going to the game, I don't know how they figure this out. If they're only counting people over 21, for example, or if they included everybody. If they included everybody, that's even higher because half your population that's in there can't even drink. So it's an average of $46 per game for 4.2 drinks in Chicago. That's not terrible.
Well, especially for the lesser team.
But for the Braves, it's 4 drinks per game, $32. So it's an average of 8. It's one of the lower ones. Actually,
second lowest.
They do that. Atlanta does that at the football stadium too. Like they keep the food prices low. You guys have a box there at Killcliff, right? So they keep they've made sure to keep food prices low at Atlanta's football stadium for whatever reason. I don't know why they did it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sort of like the consumption and, the drinking and all that. I mean, obviously that's the business, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the baseball game is just kind of a thing that's happening. Yeah. So, that's basically, I really think, honestly, to get people to go back to stadiums, you're going to have to give them a damn good reason beyond, hey, you can watch these people play with a mask on. Yeah. Like you're going to have to do, I mean, there needs to be like go-go dancers or something just crazy. Like, hey, I got to go to the stadium because I can't see that at home.
You know what they should do is deaden the ball so nobody hit home.
It makes a lot of sense.
Like, hey, we're having trouble getting people to watch this. So their idea is to give people less of the product. Have double headers that are only 7 innings, for example, or speed the game up. If the game was exciting, no one would care how long it was.
You know people would spend 4 hours at an NFL game.
Yes. Of course they fucking would, because people are getting rocked the whole time.
Yeah.
John, I've got this theory. I haven't talked to you about it yet because you haven't been on in a while. I like the DH. This past season proved to me that we can operate in a fully non-pitcher hitting league, and there's no necessity for pitchers to ever hit. It's nonsense. But the challenge is, if a pitcher can throw the ball 100 miles per hour to a guy, how is the person supposed to retaliate against that motherfucker if the pitcher never comes up to the plate? Now, this is what I want to see happen. If you get hit by a pitch, you can charge the mound, whoop the guy's ass or fight, maybe you'll lose. I don't know. But you don't get suspended. You just get, like in hockey, you get ejected from that game unless you do something crazy, right? There has to be some kind of physical. This is a physical game. There has to be some kind of physical recourse. If a guy can injure you with a pitch, you have to be able to injure him with your fists.
Listen, we are in the United States, we're way behind the curve. In cricket, it's perfectly legal to hit somebody with the ball.
Yeah, just like throw it and hit him, yeah.
Yeah, you can throw it at him and hit him. So, listen, full contact baseball. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Should we bring back?
You come up to bat, you got to wear all your armor and figure it out, right? The pitcher's trying to throw it at you, and you've now got a whole other line of products, and you can go out and you can just start a little bit of a fracas. There will be like rules to it, like hockey. When you go to the ground, the fight's over.
Yeah. If you make rules, people respect them. Right?
Should we bring back the one rule that people thought made baseball weak and for pussies 120 years ago?
Which rule is this?
It used to be dodgeball rules. You used to be able to get someone out by beaming them.
Yeah,
running the bases.
Well, that's wiffle ball rules. I mean, that's
yeah.
But if you did that,
not dodgeball rules.
I think that if we equip players with the right gear, that should be in play, at least in the discussion.
Wouldn't that be actually really fucking exciting?
It would be really funny, for sure. I mean,
mean,
ultimately, again, Major League Baseball, your goal cannot be just to keep the game as it is forever because of the purity of the game. Yeah. That is a really, it's a tragic miscalculation of what business you're in. You are in the business of producing a television show to sell advertising. And the television show damn well better be exciting, right? Otherwise, people aren't going to watch, which is happening now. Otherwise, you lose revenue, which is also happening now, right? So make it exciting. Juice the fucking ball up. Juice the players up. Let them fight each other. I mean, watching Sparky Anderson and Earl Weaver poke umpires in the chest and then hearing the audio of the umpires calling them a fuckface and stuff and hearing all that stuff after made me love. That's what I grew up watching as a child. I loved that. Like,
yeah.
Because usually at the end of the fight or the next day, they're friends again. And that taught me an important lesson. Like we can rail on each other and still be friends.
It's kind of like, hockey gives us fighting that we know is just kind of like, it's like, sort of, it's just like the guilty pleasure. Like, it's the NASCAR wreck. It's the, NHL fight. Earl Weaver or Billy Martin or any of the screening coaches,
Sparky
right?
Anderson.
I mean, what did they do in between screaming sessions? I mean, they would sit down and they'd say, should I go scream yet? Nah, not yet. I mean, that was basically their job. And then they'd go out, they'd put on a show, everybody would go crazy, and they'd go take a shower and go home.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it brought me a lot of joy. And in sports, just like it's a fucking soap opera, man. You need faces and heels, just like WWE. Yeah. And to your point about guilty pleasure, you're absolutely right about that. That is why where all other sports are seeing attendance and all this and fans receding, both in person and on television, there's one organization that has not had that problem. It's UFC, right? Because while there are very strict rules about things, we saw one just this past weekend, a guy lost a title fight because he did some stupid shit, right? There's fucking very strict rules in place. However, it's still, even the most boring fight is still less boring than the most boring baseball game.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. It's less boring than the most exciting baseball game. What's interesting is the UFC. Here's what I find amazing. You watch that product, and that product is so pure. It is hard to remain champion. It's hard to win a fight.
Yeah.
It's hard to do anything, and you so clearly see how transparent it is. And there are very few fights, only a couple in UFC history where you're like, wow, those judges were, I don't know about that. Otherwise, I mean, and that happens in anything, but it's not, you never see the Don King boxing days where you're like, what? I mean, it is an amazing sport. I think it's the best run major league, and it is a major league in the United States. It's certainly in this country.
It is, yeah, absolutely. But it's not. Now you're seeing these pockets. Like there's all these Dagestani fighters involved in UFC now, right? There's a whole crew of these motherfuckers, and they are all basically the same fighter. which is scary because if they're just producing, I mean, obviously Khabib is on a level of his own, but if they're producing anything near the quality of that guy and there's a bunch of them coming, it's not scary. It just makes the sport better. Like the better competition, the better the sport turns out to be.
Right. The only thing that would scare me eventually if I was a UFC supporter is if every name started to sound like a tennis name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's not gonna. I mean, look, the problem with that is, or not the problem, but the solution to that is already baked in. So the reason that American soccer sucks is because the best athletes are playing other sports that pay way more money, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they played European soccer, they would make way more money than any. But that's not how it works typically. Major League Soccer players from the U.S. typically are, B-level athletes for the most part because the bigger and stronger and faster people were playing football or basketball or baseball, right? Never get way more money doing it. Fighting, though, people don't get into fighting because they want to get rich or because they're an athlete and they don't know what to do with their lives or anything like that. They get into fighting because they like to fucking fight. The vast majority of the people, because I know a lot of dudes in UFC. You guys just picked up a sponsorship deal with Israel Adesanya, and he's one of those guys, too. You can see it in defeat that he liked fighting, right?
Yeah.
Even when he loses, he's like, still like. And Justin Gaethje was the same way when he lost to Khabib. He was like, I like to fight. I don't know what to tell you. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. I don't think we're going to shed fighters from that class of people.
But just like where the audience doesn't recognize the names.
Right,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
who the
Well,
fuck
I
are
just
these
don't
people?
think. Yeah, I think also the not recognizing the names, it's built in with nicknames. Mm-hmm. Like people have to recognize them. Right? Everybody calls Israel Adesanya
Izzy, yeah.
Right? Or Stylebender.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And the only person that can even pronounce Khabib's last name is John Anik. He's the only person on the planet that gets it right every time. Like, you fucking kidding me?
Exactly.
Dude, I can't pronounce that shit.
Yeah.
Is there?
Was it? I don't know if you watched that UFC fight. I know this is a baseball show, but I'll tell you what, Amanda Nunes.
Oh yeah,
different level.
She's the best female fighter of all time, and it's not even close.
It's not even close. Now, when the Ronda Rousey, everyone going crazy around Ronda Rousey, we were asked to do segments on it. And I said, listen, we have to put this in perspective. It's a brand new league division. And who is she beat? And no disrespect to Ronda Rousey because she fought who she fought because that was who she could fight. I said, but someone's going to come along just like with Brock Lesnar or something, right? Where you're like, dude, that guy has not fought anybody, right? Like literally. That guy's never been in a fight. I mean, give me a break. As soon as you get popped in the face, it's the Mike Tyson rule, right? Like everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And as soon as Ronda Rousey got punched in the face, I don't know if you all have watched the second Nunes fight. I mean, it's literally like watching Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she got lit up pretty good. So let's see what else we have on the docket today. We got the Johnny Damon thing.
Got Johnny Damon's sloppy Florida DUI.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder to myself, I don't know what the DUI rates are down there, but it seems like you probably have to be pretty drunk to get one.
Well, he was.
Yeah. He blew a .30, which means 30% of his bloodstream was alcohol. That's what that means, by the way, for those of you that don't know.
Isn't that, I mean, lethal is like 0.4.
Yeah, it's like 0.35 to 0.4 is where lethality starts to happen.
Yeah.
He then blew again .294. I just want to note that both of these
Hall
were
of Fame batting average.
higher than his career batting average.
Yeah. Although Johnny did have a good career, but yeah.
He had a great career, but he hit 284.
Yeah.
So he just eclipsed his batting average with his
boy.
DUI. The video, I think I have it pulled up on the computer for one of you guys. It should be fine to play audio on that, right? Because it's government.
Yeah, if it was on a news site or something, you can pop that up.
Play the audio. Just get me like.
Yeah, we just got to pull Brenkus off for a sec.
Yeah, just
Wait.
yeah.
No.
You can't.
Well, we'll play it after he leaves in. Before that, though, I need you to pull Brinkus off for 1 second. Put up that picture that we found.
Oh,
of him.
Brinkus' mullet.
So we found in the archives a picture of John Abraham. I have no idea what his middle name is. John Brenkus, and it's a picture of him clearly in your late teens, early 20s. You've got a mullet. You're wearing a tuxedo, and you're driving a Camaro, which I believe was called a pussy wagon back then. Can we pop that picture up here so we can see it?
Officially.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you pop the picture up, let me just tell you that there's a lot going on with that cummerbund and the flow, the party in the back and, the white Camaro. A lot of stories in that white. Ooh, if that Camaro could talk.
How hot are you about to make science?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, that right there. And listen, I showed that picture to my son, who's now almost 15, and he now is trying to out Mullet, his old man. And in response to that, I'm now going to grow out another mullet.
Oh, wow.
I cannot let my son beat me.
Yeah, you should never let the kid win. Did you throw that picture up there, Dan, or we just? Is it? I don't see it on YouTube. Oh, there we go. Yeah, he got it up there. Wow.
Is it up there?
Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot going on there. I mean, the cummerbund matches the taillights.
That's right.
Which is nice.
Got the 8-track player in the car.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's like that. What is it, like a 92 or something? What is that?
Dude, that's an 84.
I don't know what cars look like.
Well, that's an 84. That's an 84 Camaro. It was not of the IROC series. I couldn't afford that. That car was $4,700. It was only 3 years old when I bought it. It was $4,700 that I made saving up $20 at a time or $10 at a time mowing lawns. And I'm not kidding you. I drove that car my junior year in high school. I think that picture is from my junior year. Junior year in high school, senior year in high school, and I drive it down to college. And I woke up one day, I had my mullet, I had my Camaro, and something happened where I literally said, oh my God, I have a mullet and a Camaro. And I sold the Camaro and got rid of the mullet and completely changed overnight. But it's strange how up until that moment, I was the bee's knees, man. I'm like, I got a mullet and a Camaro. And then you're like,
I'm seeing a little feathering as well, to be
honest.
honest.
There's certainly some feathering happening here. And there
are also lines in the side of my head. You all have to remember, too, you guys were not born yet. But the word mullet wasn't even around. That was called a Bosworth.
Oh, yeah, Brian Bosworth, yeah.
You looked like the Boz.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who wouldn't want to look like the Boz?
No, you're wearing crimson, too. So, really, like, you're leaning hard into the Boz.
Well, he went to Oklahoma, right?
Bosworth did,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
either all in or you're all out. So I'm now going back. It is the year of the mullet. That's what 2021 is.
Well, maybe you should make that one. So you've got a lot going on with Killcliff and Brinks TV. You're doing some giveaways. One of them's $1 million giveaway. Maybe there should be a mullet growing contest involved somehow. But that's like a year-long process, I feel like. You got to give somebody 12 months to grow a pristine mullet, right?
Yeah, you can't do it overnight. It's not a beard.
No, you got to grow it for a while and then get it cut the first time, and then your hair learns how to be that way, and then you go get it cut that second time, and that's where the real mullet comes out, right? So if you want to challenge, I mean, Jared Taylor already did it last year. Ross would probably grow a mullet. He'd probably do a mullet growing contest with you. He's a little ahead of you, though. He's got longer hair than you.
Listen, T-Mar, G-Dub, and I are all in. We got Chaz Skelly in. We got McDojo in. I got a whole I mean, listen, if you guys want to jump in, I'm telling you, the mullet, you can't even enter unless it's over your collar.
Right.
The flow has to be past your collar.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not.
Well, I'm not doing any of that because I'm still single. You guys are married, so you can do what you want, but I still have to attract women. So that's not happening.
It may work. That might be why you're still single.
You don't want to put it on expert level?
I'm pretty sure.
You don't want to put bump the difficulty up?
100% sure that the type of woman that would be drawn to a mullet would not be somebody I'd be comfortable spending time with, right?
I mean, I don't know about that.
I'm relatively
all the
sure.
Professional athletes.
That's true. There's a lot of mullets going on in pro sports.
A lot of mullets going on. Listen, mullet
not just in hockey anymore.
Like own it. You got to own it. You got to understand that having a mullet means you are comfortable being you. That's what it means.
Wow, there's a lot going on there, John.
I don't know.
Well, tell everybody about. You got to go. I think. Tell everybody about the Brinks TV shit and the.
So we're doing. So for the Super Bowl, we did $1,000 a minute every minute. Wildly successful. It was awesome. And we had Ray Lewis, Trent Dilfer, Sage Steele, Adrian Peterson. We're firing it up for March. It is actually called $1 Million Madness. We're going to be starting at the Final Four for March Madness. And we're having for $1 Million Madness, all you're going to have to do is log on to brinks.tv to register for the sweepstakes. And there are going to be a ton, hundreds, if not thousands of prizes given out between March and the end of May. We're going to be having trivia questions, predictive gaming, peer-to-peer wagering with Brinks Bucks, which are points. And Killcliff is the title sponsor for it. So Got to log on, got to play. You never know what you're going to win on Brinks.tv.
Word. Good. Well,
Word.
Thanks for coming on today. We're going to continue going, but you had some other shit to do, so I don't want to keep it too long. We're going to do an MLB.
I got to go
pick
up my mullet.
Once we're further into spring training, we're going to do an MLB preview show. We'll have John back on for that. Talk some baseball, get Nick Swisher on, and talk with him a little bit again. And until then, enjoy your mullet.
Thanks for stopping by.
All right, guys. Later. God bless.
You too. All right. So Johnny Damon.
Yes.
That's a heroic blood alcohol content.
That is.
I feel like if I'm a cop, look, obviously if he's driving, you got to get him off the street and not let him drive. But he's also got to get the DUI. He's going to spend about $10,000 getting out of it. That's just how it works, right?
Yeah.
But without being unprofessional, I feel like you've got to, at some point, even if it's after the fact, congratulate the guy. Because he's still, his wife was kind of rambling and stuff, but he was also rambling.
He was rambling the whole fucking time. Can we get the video up? We don't need to play the whole thing, but just like skip kind of to the middle when he's leaned up against the car, and it's the 10-minute one. It's the one that says 10 minutes on it. If you just skip to the middle, and like just listen to him talk.
Each of us has
Oh yeah. We're not playing ads for whatever fake university that is.
But so Johnny Damon already has like a bro voice, like in general.
Yeah, he's very bro-y.
But like this is.
I was a little confused by some of the language. Florida cops.
Yeah. If you just like listen to anything he says here. Oh, this is when he talks about Blue Lives Matter. If you unmute it on the video.
Yeah, you are. You keep walking away. Hey. Keep your hands behind your back. What do they mean? Blue Lives Matter. No, this is Blue Lives Matter. Look at her license. Hey, what are you doing right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, what are you doing right now?
Guys, what's going on?
We are.
I am relaxed. No, look at me. Look at my face. Look at our license plates.
At one point, his wife says, "I am Blue Lives. Look at me."
Look at our license plate.
So they have a.
They can hear.
They have a Blue Lives Matter license plate.
Yeah.
Blue Lives Matter. Look at our license plate. Blue Lives Matter. Like, this is crazy. What?
That's probably good.
He also said that his wife was crazy.
His wife.
She must have struck one of the cops.
She did.
Okay.
So what happened was that he gets pulled over after not being able to maintain his lane and then hitting a curb. And as soon as he gets pulled over, the cop gets out and he's like, the cop's like walking up to the window, right? Mm-hmm. Johnny immediately opens the door and gets out. And the cop doesn't know who he is at this point, right? Doesn't know who's in the car.
Well, he should if he ran the license plate, but maybe he thought it was some other Johnny Damon.
Yeah, right.
Maybe he's not a baseball fan. I mean, if you're not a baseball fan, you don't know who Johnny Damon is until today.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, get back to the fucking car. And then he goes around to the other. His wife gets out of the passenger seat, walks all the way around the car, and is like, what the fuck are you doing?
If he was blowing a .3, God knows what her status was, right?
Right.
Because clearly smaller than him.
Yes.
Right? Johnny Damon's a professional athlete, for Christ's sake, or was until very recently.
He looked pretty fit in this video. Yeah. Like, he wasn't fat or anything.
No, and Damon, when asked to the cop about why his wife hit the cop, he said, yeah, she's a tough girl. She fights all the time. So that makes me think that maybe Johnny's home life isn't so great.
No.
You know what I mean? He also went on to say that his wife was crazy. Told the cops that he felt like they were targeting him because he's a Trump supporter. Now, I doubt the cops in Florida are targeting people for being Trump supporters.
I would guess no.
Yeah.
Especially in this suburb that he was. It was a suburb of Orlando, I believe.
Yeah.
He goes, the exact quote was, hey, bro, I'm a good fucking guy, and I know people are trying to target me because I'm a Trump supporter. He's obviously shit-faced, sounded like he sounded in the video. The cop is like, no, I don't think that has anything to do with it. And like, I've had a cop talk to me this way when I'm drunk before, right? Where I'm like, come on, man. And he's like, nah, you're just gonna have to deal with it. And the cop's like, I don't think it has anything to do with it. And the funniest part of the whole video was Damon was like resigned at this point and was just like, yeah, it does. Like, he was just
needed that last word in, I guess.
Yeah, he was like, no, this is because of that. And the cop was like, all right, well, I'm just going to move on.
Yeah, it's not good for his – I mean, he's fine.
It's pretty on brand. This is the Red Sox team that was ripping Jack Daniel's shots before.
Yeah. Yeah, I would recommend to all of you to use ride share apps when you're hammered.
Yeah, this
probably a good idea. I mean, there's very little reason to drive intoxicated anymore.
It was mystifying to me in the 90s. Like, I grew up in St. Louis, and I want to say Leonard Little killed a woman drunk driving. It was mystifying to me then when I'm like, there's not even that many cabs in St. Louis, but you could have called one.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me now.
Yeah, it's way. So I knew this was all coming at some point because on Fort Bragg, like fucking 15 years ago, the individual infantry companies started these programs where they would prepay like a card, right? So they would buy cards from cab people and just hand them out to everybody. Or they would give them to CQ, like charge at quarters. And if somebody called and needed a ride somewhere, it was free. The company had a pool of money that would pay for your ride. So don't get a fucking DUI, asshole.
Right.
Was the lesson there. We still had them all the time. Because I didn't want to leave my car there, man. Your car with 36% APR that you put no money down on, that is a fucking depreciable asset. You're worried about this thing in lieu of your career, and you're an idiot. But, we're all idiots when you're young. Johnny Damon made $110 million playing baseball.
Yeah, he'll be okay.
He's going to be just fine unless he's got some other kind of record. Who knows?
I do respect that they were at some guys. There was one other. Did you watch the whole video?
No, I've not.
So there was one other interesting thing, and I doubt we'll ever hear more about it. But the cops asked Damon at one point where he was that night, and you would think, they were at some fucking restaurant or something, just got hammered, or a bar or whatever. They weren't. He was like, we were at London's house, and the cop was like, what's that? And he was like, it's a guy where you go and you need your taxes to be like different or something. Like, I think he was like low key describing like some tax fraud that he was doing, and he was. I
was over at my drug dealer's house, man, getting my dick sucked by prostitutes. Yeah,
like the way he granted, he might have been just shit faced, but the way he described it, I was like, that doesn't sound on the up and up at all.
Doesn't. Well, we'll see what happens. We've got some things that are on the up and up. DraftKings has a bunch of shit going on right now, obviously.
Yeah, I got the info right here.
Oh,
shit. The scoop on DraftKings. So
yeah, they're doing a bunch of shit for the Final Four, I'd imagine.
Not even yet.
Oh,
they
really?
are, but we're not even there yet. So they're all about the conference tournaments right now.
Oh shit. Well,
which were wild today.
Yeah,
if you
there
didn't
was
catch
a lot
it
of crazy games today.
The games were insane today. Baylor only won by 4. Ohio State only won by 4. Virginia needed a last second, literally a buzzer beating 3. It's been a good day.
Yeah, that was a big game.
But yeah, so DraftKings, that time of year again, conference tournaments are in it. Bubble teams are making their final push for a bid, while the top seeds are preparing for what they hope is a long run. DraftKings Sportsbook, which is America's top-rated sportsbook app, by the way, is putting new customers in the center of the action. Here's their deal. Bet $4 on an underdog, and you can win $256 if they win. It's that simple. Georgetown beat Villanova today. So this stuff is paying out.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. All you have to do is bet $4 on underdog in select college basketball games, and if they win, you win $256. I guarantee that. I didn't check. I guarantee that Nova game was won because nobody thought Georgetown was going to
for sure. Nobody
take out Nova. Pick one of the many select college basketball underdogs for your shot at winning $256. All it takes, again, is a $4 bet. There's no better way to put your college basketball knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry if college basketball isn't for you, by the way. DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds and promotions on golf, which is Dirty Dan's favorite.
Yeah, he does win quite a bit. I mean, not that he doesn't win quite a bit, but comparatively, how hard it is to select. Like if you bet a game, if I bet straight up on a sports game, I've got a 50% chance of winning.
Right.
All things else being equal, you're betting against the field. In golf, that's like a 1/64th chance, and sometimes worse than that, right?
There's like 130 golfers.
I know, but like you know who is and isn't going to make the cut, right? Like nobody's picking some weirdos, so it's like
it's Dan
about
is.
half of that.
I like that value, man.
Oh God, I'm gonna murder you.
Get to it.
But there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of big events going on too. So if you want to get your feet wet now during the conference tournament, so you can get some money in there, and then get a little. it's good to get a feel for the game, get a little experience, get to learn these teams before the tournament starts.
Yes.
And then we're going to carry that over to the Masters the second week of April and keep going on from there. There's a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yeah, so download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code BROS, B-R-O-S. We are the first bros to ever advertise with them. When you sign up for to turn $4 into $256 if the underdog of your choosing pulls the upset. That's code BROS, B-R-O-S, to turn $4 into $256 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You got to be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only for now, I guess. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
If you got a sleeping problem, call GhostBed, bitch.
Yes.
Ghostbed.com/Drinking Bros. They still have the President's Day sale going on. It's 40% off the bundle package. So it is a mattress. And as usual with the mattress, you get 2 free pillows. With the bundle package, you also get the adjustable base. So you're going to get 40% off all that. That whole setup, you're going to end up spending $35-40 a month for a king-size bed. 36 months, pay as you go, no interest, all that stuff. Same deal you've heard before. And then in addition to that, there's if you're not looking for the bundle and you're just looking for individual pieces, still 30% off for Drinking Bros anytime for anything on the site. That's ghostbed.com/Drinking Bros. They got the best pillows, got the mattress protector, they got the whole fucking shit.
The cold pillows are the most insane thing. Like, it doesn't. You ever see something and you're like, this doesn't make physical sense in my world?
Yeah, I mean, it's like some of those things you see at like science camps and shit like that.
Yeah.
They're just like doesn't make it baffles the mind. That's certainly one of them, because I'm a big sweaty dude and I need a cold bed. Now I've got super expensive cooling sheets and I've used them on other beds before and they still didn't work. The mattress matters. It definitely matters because that's where all the fucking heat's going. Just saying, if you're a big sweaty dude, maybe get one of those.
2, one between your legs for the balls, and the other one.
For a pillow?
Yeah.
A cooling pillow.
The cooling pillows.
They should make a fucking crotch shaped pillow. You know what I mean? Like those pillows they make for your arm to go under it, so it's ergonomic, but it's an ergonomic crotch pillow.
Yeah.
I'll look into that. Last, certainly not least, KillcliffCBD.com. KillcliffCBD.com/Drinking Bros, or is it the promo code? Let me make sure they didn't change this on me because we just did some new shit with it. No, it's KillcliffCBD.com, and use the promo code Drinking Bros. You get 30% off on all your stuff. They get the best CBD. It's 25 milligrams of CBD in every can. A very small amount of carbs or sugar. It's in addition to that, they've got all their Ignite products, which are clean energy drinks. They're truly clean, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
They're another company recently tried to come out with something called a clean energy drink, and it had 28 grams of sugar in it. Like that's not what that word means.
No.
Right? When people say clean in that sense, they're talking about it doesn't have a shitload of sugar in it. This one does not. They have all these great flavors in the CBD. They got the Flaming Joe Rogan. It's like pineapple jalapeno, I think.
Spicy, yeah.
And they got the mango tango, the orange kush, the strawberry days, and the grape. The goat, the grapist of all time, or the serial grapist.
They definitely work great, especially like both actually the Ignite and the CBD. I enjoy drinking when I come in here hungover.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, look, those drinks are, along with Liquid IV, save my life on a regular basis. I'm drinking Liquid IV right now,
along with a Power Claw.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, get you a girl who can do both. Anyways, top 10 rotations for 2021. I like when they put out these little listicles.
Yeah. It's been a bit of a slow news week in terms of actual baseball news.
Right.
Literally the biggest news story was the Yankees lost Zach Britton to bone spurs. Nothing's happening right now.
But bone spurs, that's like you just get scoped and you're done, right? It's like 4 to 6 weeks maybe if it on the outside.
They were making it sound like he's kind of just uncertain, TBD. But
I mean, you can play through some of the pain, and if you do get the surgery, the soft tissue has to heal for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then there's some recovery time after that, so it sucks, but it's better. If a guy's pitching in pain all year, he's going to over-adjust and hurt himself some other way, right?
That's what I want to say Smoltz was saying that about when he eventually got his Tommy
elbow.
John.
Yeah,
like he was like, what made it worse was I was adjusting in other ways.
Yeah,
He also actually, this is something he said that this is why I love him as an announcer. Before we get into the rotations, he said something I never thought about, and it's a crazy thing to think about. Where it's so fucked. So a lot of people will encourage their kids to get Tommy John kind of young, like high school aged.
Because it tightens up your tendon and you throw the ball faster.
Well, here's the thing, though. What he was saying was, no, it doesn't actually make you throw faster. What happens is, like, it doesn't increase your ability to throw faster. What happens is your arm was just fucked up, so you fixed it. So you're throwing back to your ability.
That is accurate, because that tendon gets and your elbow gets stretched out over time.
Yeah, but he was saying that, like, people, it's almost like, it's like baseball kids transgender type of thing. Like they're like, get the surgery, and like you think these kids should not be getting the surgery at that age or whatever.
No, definitely not. Onto this rotation thing. Who's the publisher for this?
Fangraphs. Who is I feel like you always reference Baseball Reference. I'm more of a Fangraphs guy personally, but I do.
Baseball Reference is more just data, and I do the analysis myself.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I like it. But yeah, Fangraphs has some interesting stuff. I don't know why number one for them is the Padres, and that is baffling to me.
Yes.
Yu Darvish and Blake Snell, both really good pitchers.
Yeah.
Yu Darvish has been on the decline for the last few years, and I haven't seen any.
He's on the back slope of his career.
100%. I haven't seen any evidence that he's coming back up. Blake Snell is a good situational pitcher. He's a good second man, so he's in the right spot. The rest of these guys.
Shane Bieber's fine. He's good.
But where is he? I don't even see him in the rotation.
Shane Bieber?
Is he hurt right now?
Let me look. I think he's still on the Padres, as far as I remember. I'm sorry. He's on the Indians. I don't know what the fuck he was on the. Who'd the Padres trade for last year?
Trevor Bauer, maybe?
No.
The closer? I don't remember. At any rate, I don't get this one at number one. Yu Darvish is pretty good, but as a number one starter, he's going to be going against other number ones, and he's not going to have a good season. Even if he has like a low 4 ERA, he's probably going to lose 15 games, right? So that one doesn't make sense to me. The LeMay kid.
Oh, Clevenger. I'm sorry. And
Clevenger.
And he's on the injured list for 60 days. Totally.
We'll see when Clevenger comes back and what he looks like after, because he had a pretty serious injury as well. So LeMay, the number 3 starter there, is a guy that kind of came into his own during last season, but limited time, right? And I think there are a lot of outlier seasons that happened during the COVID year that are not going to be repeating this year over a longer period of time. He had what was essentially, for the first time in his professional career, a season about the size and shape of a college season, which is probably the last time he was good. Yeah, to be honest. And then Musgrove and Paddock are middle of the road, 4+ ERA guys, and their bullpen is okay. But Mark Melancon, we've seen this in Atlanta.
This is just rotations.
Oh, okay.
This isn't even the bullpen, yeah.
Well, I mean, Mark Melancon's a decent closer, but he's not a shutdown guy. He's an 80% guy.
He's a guy, we talked about this before, like great regular season guy.
Yeah.
Like the numbers he will bear out the numbers. Like he'll have a better year.
But there's no winning in the aggregate in the postseason. You have to be dominant, right?
Yeah.
That's the difference. Now, the second team is the Dodgers. That one makes a little bit more sense. Clayton Kershaw got a bit of the monkey off his back for the playoffs last year. Now they have Trevor Bauer and Walker Buehler.
Kershaw might be tossing free this year, right?
I don't know. I mean,
what does he have? He has nothing left to do.
He doesn't. He's got another big contract coming up sometime in the next couple of years.
That man is a Christian. He does not care about money.
Tell that to Joel Osteen. So forget about all the external influences. Clayton Kershaw, who, regardless of postseason, is a great regular season pitcher and always has been. Trevor Bauer. I feel like Trevor Bauer could in LA get distracted and kind of Yasiel Puig around a little bit and do stupid shit, because he's done stupid shit in his career before. Hopefully he doesn't.
We all get in Twitter fights with college girls.
Right, yeah. And then Walker Buehler, who throws fucking gas.
Yeah.
And then Julio Urias, who had a great fucking year and postseason last year. If that was his coming out party and he's going to be anywhere close to how good he was in the postseason last year, this is by far the best rotation in baseball. It's not even close, because they also have David Price slotted at number 4. Now we'll see what he has left. But David Price against other 4 and 5 starters is probably going to be better than that.
And then you've got fucking Pennywise, the pitcher, Dustin Mays, coming in. The other thing too, by the way, we talked about at the top of the show, with the baseball all fucked up now, and the releases higher, and it fucks with the spin rate in a good way.
Yeah.
Who's obsessed with spin rate?
Yeah.
Trevor fucking Bauer.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Trevor Bauer is all about increasing spin. So what I forgot to, what I didn't realize last year, because Trevor Bauer was so goddamn insane, and was he actually, if you look at his career as a whole, even his peak 3 years right now, not that fucking great. So it's kind of we're at the question now is is he going to maintain?
Yeah.
I don't think Trevor Bauer is a guarantee.
No, he's certainly not, because talent alone is not enough as a pitcher. And I'm not even talking about staying out of trouble. I mean, you can't make any mistakes. You take one pitch off and it gets served up, and that fucks the whole game up, right? Every single pitch. That's what made Maddox so great.
Yeah.
Not only that he could read the future somehow and had great mechanics and made the pitches he was actually trying to make. Like, if he got beat, typically it's because the guy just beat him. It wasn't because he beat himself.
Right.
He didn't hang a curveball and the guy hit it out, typically speaking. He threw a low and away fastball, and the guy just happened to guess along with him and hit it. Number 3 is the Mets. Now,
They're pretty dirty.
they're pretty good. DeGrom is good. Carlos Carrasco is good. Marcus Stroman has proven himself, even though he's like 4.5 feet tall, to be a pretty good goddamn pitcher. Taijuan Walker's good too. I mean,
Taijuan Walker's there. I guess 4 will be there.
He's
5 when Thor gets back.
Yeah, when Thor gets back. We'll see how Thor comes back and what he looks like. But when he does, just him, DeGrom, and Stroman and Walker, that 4 is pretty goddamn good. It's hard to compete with that rotation wise.
And that's the type of rotation too. The Braves is the same way. There's a lot of the rotations on here are the same way, where they're like, you can be a great regular season team as long as you don't need a number 1 starter like you in the playoffs. But if you don't have any guaranteed L's in your rotation,
Yeah.
and none of these are like the Padres don't have that. The Dodgers do. The Mets do.
Yeah.
The Yankees don't, and they're 4th.
Well, they certainly don't. I mean, they've got Garrett Cole and Corey Kluber. That's a pretty good goddamn 1-2 punch. And to be honest, with just a serviceable 3 through 5, you can still, if you can just make it to the playoffs, you can win playoff series with 2.
Well,
I mean, Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling did it, and during a time when hitting was the best it's ever been. So it's definitely possible. I think with 2 legit starters, you're still, there's no guarantee. The Yankees do not have. They don't have guaranteed L's in their lineup, but they don't have guys that are definitely going to get quality starts and 80+% of their starts.
There's going to be days, a lot of days, where they need to hit, where their lineup needs to hit 2 to 3 home runs.
Yeah, like they're the back of their rotation has this kid Garcia. He's 5 ERA last year. I mean, granted he's 21 years old, and he got a lot of that was in a couple of games where he really got roughed up. Then he had some better games, so we'll see how he develops. Another guy, Jordan Montgomery, one of the pastiest human beings of all time, lefty, another 5 ERA guy.
One thing that the Yankees have, people don't probably talk about enough, is they've had a lot of good players come up this century. None of them been pitchers. I can't remember the last time they developed a great pitcher.
Andy Pettitte.
This century?
No, I mean the last time they developed a great pitcher.
Probably.
From the farm system, it was probably Andy Pettitte was or did Rivera retire? I guess it would be Mario Rivera. He retired after.
Pettitte and Rivera.
Yeah.
But those are both from the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't, for whatever reason, they don't bring up pitching talent.
No.
And you have, I mean, like, there was like Joba Chamberlain back in the day, but otherwise.
But they did have a lot of very highly touted prospects that did not pan out. Joba Chamberlain was one of them for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a couple of decent seasons. He had some big moments. He's like Kerry Wood, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I
him
guess
and Phil Hughes were the two
Phil
like
Hughes,
the 2 guys that were supposed to be it.
Well, also, who was that other kid from the Cubs? The pitcher,
Mark Pryor.
Mark Pryor, yeah, he's like a college baseball coach or some shit now.
I think he's pitching coach in the MLB now.
Oh, is he?
I forget where, but I'll look that up real quick. But yeah.
That dude he was built with bad shit. His body couldn't handle it, but he was very, very talented. At any rate, next on the list is the Nationals, and this is a pretty legit lineup too. I mean, we'll see how it works out, but Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and Patrick Corbin, those are any 3 of those guys could win the Cy Young this year.
Yeah, it's stupid.
And they're 4 and 5 guys. 4 is John Lester. We'll see about John Lester. It's been a minute since he's had real success in Major League Baseball. I mean, his last full season in 2019, the 4.46 ERA. But the year before that, a lot more success. And remember, that Cubs team in 19 struggled from time to time. But his his performance in general, his whip was higher that year, like considerably higher. His ERA was way up, so he had a bad year in 2019. We will see.
Also, if Lester's your 4,
that's not the worst thing ever.
right? Like that's the thing. Like if you're trotting out Lester as your 2 or 3, I'd be concerned. But if he's on the back end of your rotation, that's pretty fucking good, and a lefty too.
Yeah, the other guy is Joe Ross. He's 28 years old. He's been in the league for a while now. But hasn't really played a full season in the bigs. The last 3 seasons, over 5 ERA every time. So that, again, this is why they're farther down the list, because there's a guy in that rotation that you just don't know what's going to happen that day. He's probably going to have 60% of his games will be good games, and the rest will be like shitty games, right? So there's no in between for people like that.
Here's the thing, though. But the whole point of putting this on here is I think they're higher than 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go through what I think the list should be.
Okay.
At least 1 through 5 after this, because this list to me is preposterous.
It's really fucking weird.
Yeah. Next up is the fucking White Sox. Not really the most competitive division.
No.
Right? So they're going to get away with a lot more stuff.
By the way, that was a huge – I forgot this when we were talking about Bauer. Huge knock against Bauer last year because the weird fucking schedule where you only played the Centrals.
Yeah, and the
East or whatever.
Division, yeah.
He feasted on the – 10 worst teams in baseball, basically. And now he goes to deal with like a regular situation again.
Well, I mean, we'll see. He reminds me a lot of Zach Greinke. It's like kind of inverse, where Greinke has internal problems and Bauer has external problems, but they're still the same kind of focus issues, right? And you saw it with Smoltz earlier in his career as well, and he fucking got help for it. Greinke also got help for it, and he's had a great goddamn career.
Yeah.
Greinke is a Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
I would think so.
But we'll see. I mean, people are weird about it now. Anyways, to the White Sox. I mean, they've got this dude, Giolito. He's put up some pretty decent numbers in the past couple of years, but 3.41 and 3.48 ERAs respectively. Wins a lot of his games, about 60% of his games. 2019 was especially good for him, but again, he's feasting on those Central teams that frankly aren't that great. After him, it's fucking has-been city, man. Lance Lynn, like he was around when Cardinals were still winning fucking playoff games. You know what I mean? That's where he came from. And Dallas Keuchel, he threw a perfect game 60 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not in love with Keuchel at all. And even when the Braves had Keuchel, I was like, I mean, I didn't watch a lot of the Astros, but watching him, I was like, this guy's good, but I don't know how the fuck you want to Cy Young.
No, I don't either. I mean, honestly.
Well, you know what it was?
It's a perfect game, yeah.
Well, that and the Astros were the biggest shifters in the league.
Yeah, hey, that's part of the plan. If you can pitch to the shift. And Keuchel's like a fucking bearded Wish.com version of Tom Glavine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's trying to do that, but he hangs way more pitches. Yeah. He's not comfortable with walking people. Like Glavine would straight up walk a guy with a runner on first. You don't ever want to do that. You don't want to fucking put a guy in score position, but he was so confident that over the course of the next 8 to 10 pitches, enough of them will hit that corner target that I can get that next out, even if I don't get this one.
Yeah.
Now that's confidence. That's what Smoltz always talked about. I'm going to get beat on my best pitch. I'm not going to pitch to his weakness and pitch into my strength. Keuchel clearly doesn't have that.
No.
And Dylan Cease, no idea who the fuck that is. And Carlos Rodon, I don't even know how you say his name. He's from Miami, but he had an 8.22 ERA last year. So I don't know why they're even on the fucking list.
Yeah, plus Giolito, from what I remember, I've weirdly gambled on a lot of White Sox games when he pitches. He only goes 5. He only goes 5 innings, and then they pull him.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a really strong bullpen, but this is about the best rotation, and that shouldn't come into play. Next on the list is the Reds, and again, this is a fucking mystery to me.
This is mind-blowing.
Especially in that division. I mean, I guess you're talking about it. It's the top 10, so you're talking about a third of the league, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to get some teams in there that are questionable. Luis Castillo is pretty good.
Castillo's fantastic.
He's a young, dynamic guy. Sonny Gray is he's a middle-of-the-road guy. He's a number 3-4 star at this point in his career. Came from Oakland, obviously had good success young there, but it's not like he's lighting it up. I mean, he had a sub-4 ERA last year in limited time, but
but last year feasting on who? Just the Central.
Yeah, it was mostly the Central. And the same, well, not necessarily. The year before he had a great season. .287 ERA, 11-8 record, not great, but he played for the Reds, who suck, right? His WHIP was 1.08. That's walks and hits plus per inning pitch. That means how many base runners per inning, basically. 1.08, which means unless there a high volume of home runs there, he's not giving up a lot of runs. That guy maybe comes back, has a good year. He's only 31, probably going to have a good year this year, right? I think a lot of these pitchers that are middle-of-the-road guys, particularly starters that only go 5, are going to have a good year this year because they essentially took half of last year off, and that makes a big difference. They do have a couple of other good young pitchers. This Maley kid is pretty good, and Wade Miley is older, but
he's always been a serviceable guy. Like, I mean, he's had some good years.
You can throw him in the back end of your rotation and do pretty well. But Lorenzen is a fucking relief pitcher, and they're trying to transition him into the rotation this year. We'll see how it goes, but that's a 2 to 3 year process to get good success. Yeah. Now, you can go from starter to closer, provided the guy has confidence in his pitches and can go out there and throw strikes. Going from reliever to starter historically doesn't work out all that well. In the short term, it takes a while to adjust to that. So this one is another one that I don't understand.
It is, a lot of it is fueled, I think, because the Reds did actually, they made the playoffs last year based on their pitching. Like, they had as we saw in the playoffs, like, the Braves shut them the fuck down because they had nobody. I mean, Joey Votto might have still been their best hitter, and he's a Hall of Famer probably, but, like, he's way on the back nine of his career. But I think that any of these central rotations that are being touted right now are in for a rude fucking awakening once they play the whole league.
Once they play everybody else, next up is the Phillies, and this was one that is way too low. Like, they should be way higher than this. Yeah, we
suck.
The Phillies have a losing attitude right now, but their rotation, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and Eflin are fucking good pitchers.
It's a great top 3.
And Matt Moore.
It's not, though.
It is actually statistically speaking, that's a really good top of the rotation.
Nola's fine, but you can't trust anybody else on that fucking rotation.
Well, we'll see, right? I mean, last year was a weird year. Some of these guys had good years in a weird year. That doesn't mean it's going to translate to this year. Chase Anderson and Matt Moore, though, they're those fucking back of the rotation hit or miss dudes at this point in their career. I mean, Chase Anderson had really good years in Milwaukee. Last year was weird for him, so we'll see how he comes back. He's only 33. He's still got plenty of baseball left in him. I think they belong higher up, but not necessarily because I think they're great. It's just because the fucking White Sox and the Reds. Are you kidding me with this shit? And the Padres at number 1 is fucking crazy.
If this is the top 10, like, these rotate, like, this is going to be a soft ass pitching year. Good thing they deadened the ball, I guess.
Right? Maybe that's why they did it. Yeah. Next up is the Braves, and this one is considerably lower than what I would have expected.
I would have easily expected top 5.
Yeah, I mean, with Max Fried, who had the year he had last year, and you bring in Charlie Morton, who's a veteran that will win games. He keeps you in ball games. He's a game manager pitcher that he's not going to go out and, I mean, sometimes he does actually strike out 10 or more. I think he had several 10 strikeout games last year, but he's not a guy that's necessarily going to go out and dominate every start, but he is very good.
I mean, fuck, dude. Career whip is 1.28.
Yeah, like, that's pretty goddamn good. And then Soroka's coming back from a surgery that is going to ultimately make him throw the ball better. You know what I mean? So that'll be interesting to see how he comes back and works his way back in. Ian Anderson just pitched again today and looked fucking great.
That's right.
Oh, our Kyle Wright?
Kyle Wright today?
Yeah.
But Ian Anderson pitched the other day and also looked great.
Yeah. It was Tuesday, looked great. Ian Anderson looks great. Kyle Wright looks great, so he can step in if any of these guys aren't ready. And then Drew Smiley on the back end of your bullpen, or on the back end of your rotation. I don't really care about Drew Smiley. Anything he brings to the table is a value add. I think that 5 spot in their rotation is going to be a platoon between him and Kyle Wright, frankly. Yeah. As it should be, which is fine because Drew Smiley's got a lot of experience in his career as a long reliever as well, which is a mop-up guy is pretty important so you don't fucking burn your bullpen out on the front end of a series. You know what I mean? So they've got a lot going on there. I think they're probably like the 4th or 5th best rotation.
It's easily – I can't imagine – this is, it could be a homer talking here. I don't know how there's a better 1 through 5 or 6.
I don't know who's better than
there's better top ends.
maybe. I don't know, though. I mean, if Max Fried pitches the way he pitched last year and Soroka pitches the way he pitched in his last full season, they're two of the best pitchers in baseball.
Yes, if
like,
they
legit two of the best. That's not hyperbole. Statistically they were two of the best pitchers in baseball. Max Fried should have won the goddamn Cy Young Award last year, right?
Bauer was pretty dirty.
But he switched leagues in the middle of the season, right?
No,
Or not in the middle of the season. He switched leagues from one year to the next. That gives Guy an advantage.
Yeah.
That because he just isn't seen by those hitters, and he spent all of his time just pitching to those people.
Pitching to dog shit, yeah.
Max Fried only spent time pitching to all the people he had already been pitching to this whole time. So I think it gives him a little fucking credit. But
and
anyways,
the Easts are dirty.
The
also.
East is way dirtier. Yeah. The offense is over there crazy, except for the Dodgers in the West. I mean, who are you talking about? Now that Arenado's gone from Colorado, it's just the Dodgers and Padres, right? Nobody else is going to be competitive out there.
No.
Anyways, you add Charlie Morton to the success that Fried and Soroka have had. They're young guys. They just got, for Soroka's case, a whole season off. For Max Fried, a half a season off. So they're young arms that are fresh. And then you add Ian Anderson and then the platoon of Smiley and Wright to the end of that. I don't know how there's...
Ian Anderson, by the way, looked like another ace.
He might be, yeah. He might be.
Like, he throws that heavy-ass changeup that no one can make contact with.
It's a weird ball, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of downward. He's got a good spin rate. There's a lot of fucking downward movement on the ball. I could see him. I mean, I think by the end of the season, their rotation is going to be probably Soroka, Fried, and then Ian Anderson, and then Charlie Morton and Smiley. That's my guess.
And
it's pretty fucking good.
Pretty fucking good. And by the way, we didn't talk about this with the other ones because I don't know their catchers that well, but a well-managed rotation.
Right. I mean, Darno is great. Unfortunately, they didn't bring back homeboy. Flowers, yeah.
The frame king.
Yeah, I hate watching him catch, by the way. The way he fucking jerks the ball around. I'm like, dude, just fucking stop that shit.
But he is like a frame god. Like
he's very good at it, yeah.
Yeah. But so is and that's actually one of my favorite things about Anthopoulos is he grabs catchers who frame.
William Contreras is one that does that pretty well too.
Yeah.
But Travis d'Arnaud had a great season last year. We'll see if he repeats, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about pitching. And the last team on here is the Miliwaki Brewers.
That made no sense to me, but like you said, this is a third of the league. So,
yeah. I mean, Brandon Woodruff is a pretty talented guy. He's a pretty talented guy. Corbin Burns is a pretty talented guy, but we don't know. He was a relief pitcher again that was moved into the rotation, and he's still on that. If it works out, then that's a pretty good 1-2 punch for sure. But I would say that probably puts them at 6 or 7. I still think the Padres are not as good as these guys.
I think
on the front end, anyways.
It's very weird to me. Like, dude, I know. Actually, no, I don't know why they weren't on here. I think the Cardinals are a top 7 rotation between Jack Flaherty, who's potentially a legitimate star.
Yeah.
Miles Mikolas had some flashes. I think there's still potential there. He's kind of old, but like whatever. Adam Wainwright and then Carlos Martinez. Like those guys are all. If the Brewers are at 10, I don't know how the Cardinals aren't in consideration.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, I would say the Cardinals are certainly ahead of the Brewers. And they've got that kid, the South Korean kid that just came over. Well, he's not a kid. He's 32 years old, but he had a 1.02 or 1.03 WHIP last year or something. I think he led the league for people with more than with 8 or more starts.
Last year's whip was no bueno. It might have been the year before that.
No, his whip from 2020 was 1.03 for Kwang Hyun Kim.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, 2021 he was kind of shitty, but 2020 he 0.67 whip.
Yeah.
Does he throw a gyro?
Gyro. What the fuck is that?
Gyro ball.
The Kenshin, not Kenshin.
It was DK.
Dice K.
Yeah. No, but
wrong country.
He does. He strikes out 2 people every time he walks one. But it's a small sample size, so we'll see. But,
and lefty.
Yeah, he's a lefty too. Yeah, and he's again in that Central Division. I think the Cardinals are going to be more competitive than they should be because of some of these rotation guys. And having Wainwright, we'll see what he actually provides.
Yeah.
But having somebody like that in your rotation, managing the attitudes and personalities and all that of these young guys, clearly if you're in the major leagues, if you're a Jack Flaherty, for example, who's a very talented human being, the only thing that's going to stop you from being successful is injury or your own brain. You know what I mean?
Right.
So having a guy like Wainwright who came up in the Braves organization with some of the best pitching advice he could ever have gotten from any group of pitchers of all time, and developed that into a great career, even though he's had some injury problems. Not one of the more athletically gifted. I mean, he's a big dude, but he didn't come out. Earlier in his career, threw pretty fast, but he kind of left that behind to learn how to pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can teach a guy like Jack Flaherty, who does throw 100 miles per hour, 97.3 or 4 is his average fastball during the season, that's fucking gas. If you can teach a guy like that to locate, and he's already got a sharp breaking ball, and just teach him how to think, he could be a legit superstar in this league.
Throwing to a decent catcher, too.
Well, for how long, we'll see.
This might be the last year. But the point being, for now, he's being managed by a Hall of Fame catcher as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Cardinals could have been certainly added into that. I mean, Tampa Bay as well, even though they lost some people, and the fucking Twins, man. How those teams, the Twins as a team had a fucking sub-4 ERA last year in the American League.
It's fucking weird.
In a shitty-ass division. I mean, usually that is not how that works. Maybe it's because they don't have any superstars, but they have Michael Pineda, Berrios, Kent Maeda, and Jay Happ and Shoemaker. Those are all relatively well-known pitchers that have pretty decent success every year. Obviously, they did last year, so I don't know why they're not on the list either. And the Padres at 1, I don't get that.
That makes no fucking sense.
I don't get that at all.
They don't even have, like, the Dodgers, Mets, and Yankees all have legitimate, like, Cy Young contenders. The Padres don't.
Yes, not one.
Like, right?
Like unless something crazy happens, there's no way they have a fucking Cy Young winner on the team. Anyways, to wrap this episode up, there's a bunch of rule changes. The Major League Baseball has been doing this over the last 10 years or so. They changed some stuff in the minor leagues and let them see how it works.
Yeah, they experiment
and then
with
see if it would work in the major leagues. So let's go through a couple of those.
Larger bases.
To why don't they just do a softball style for first base?
Oh yeah, with the double.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because it doesn't really happen at second or third.
It doesn't affect any of the other things.
So why not just put the extra base for running? I mean, if your intent is to reduce collisions, and look, if you're trying to reduce collisions at second for a double play, then fuck you.
So
get out of the way.
Here's one thing they want, or at least they say experts expect the distances between bases by increased size to have a modest impact on the success of stolen base attempts. So maybe they want more stolen bases, which, to be fair, the game's more fun with running.
I'd like to see the data on that. I mean, they want to go from a 15-inch square to an 18-inch square. Does another inch and a half on either side of the base make it? Are you really going to get there that much faster?
I have some tight ones. I would guess they would be more successful, not less.
Well,
successful.
It'll be interesting to see that. You don't see a lot of stolen bases in the minor leagues, though, unless you have a guy like that was like Billy Hamilton, for example.
Right.
He couldn't do anything but that.
Yeah.
So they wanted to see how well he could do it to see if he would make it to the majors. By the way, he got cut today. Probably done in the major leagues because he can't hit 200.
He's the type of guy where you just let him float around the minor leagues, then bring him up for the playoffs.
Yeah.
To just let him fly, or Gerard Dyson.
Like Dave Roberts stealing that base.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Although Dave Roberts was actually a really good player. Some of the other stuff is defensive positioning.
This is basically a shift ban.
Right. Well, I mean, it is because they don't want the third baseman to go over to shortstop position and the shortstop to go into play the short field softball position.
I guess it's not a shift ban, a shift restriction.
Yeah. Like they have to be on the dirt, though, because a lot of players, even not in a shift, play like Chase Utley used to do this all the time. He would start out on the grass and then walk his way in. So how are they fucking determining
Well,
this?
dude, here's the thing, though, is you see that, but then you see, like, this. I'm actually surprised you don't remember the top of your head. This happens to Freddie Freeman all the time. He will smoke a ball, and then the second baseman is halfway into right field.
Yeah. He's playing short field. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's softball, right?
It is softball. It's the rover.
Yeah.
Like, whatever the fuck.
MLB may require two infielders to be positioned entirely on each side of second base in the second half of the Double-A season. So in the first half, they're going to go with all four of the guys have to be on the dirt, or at least probably close to it. I don't think they're going to bitch about what Utley used to do. But if you have a guy out in right center field,
that's not allowed.
That's not going to be allowed. And then the second half of the season, you can't even pull usually what they do is leave the shortstop and shortstop would pull a third baseman like
Yeah.
Justin Turner does this all the time, and he plays like right behind second base or somewhere thereabouts. They won't let that happen. But honestly, what they'll do is Justin Turner will just start one step to the right as he's facing the field, or I guess from home plate he'll be to the left, one step on the other side of second base, and as soon as the pitcher goes in his windup, he's just going to walk over there, right?
Yeah.
So that you can't stop a guy from moving. Like, what if he sees the pitch and then sees the batter adjust to it, and he's trying to read the play and then he moves? Why would that be illegal?
Yeah, it could only be a limitation prior to the windup, right?
Which is an unenforceable rule, which makes it a stupid rule.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, I don't necessarily hate the shift or like the shift or
Yeah.
anything, but it seems fucking fine.
Learn to fucking hit one of the best moments in baseball history happened because of the shift. And here's what it was. David Ortiz tried to bunt the ball, and Ozzie Guillen fucking just raked him over the coals. I don't know if you remember this shit, but he tried to bunt and then run down to first base. And then Ozzie Guillen, hey, got his attention. This is when Ozzie was the manager of the White Sox. He's like, hey, he got his attention. He goes, ugh. And he pretended like he was wheelchairing down the fucking baseline. And everybody laughed and had a good time. And it was really funny. I don't like the shift either, though. But it is what it is.
Fine.
It's a game, and if somebody figures out a way to play it better than you, then you have to figure out
the ball the other fucking way.
Yeah.
It always mystified me. I get why Freddie Freeman takes a full swing, or David Ortiz takes a full swing, even with the full-ass shift. I never understood why Brian McCann was taking a full-ass swing with the shift on, because after his first couple years, he's only hitting 19 home runs a year,
Yeah.
but he is a good hitter, so just slap it the other way, Brian.
Yeah, if you do it enough, then they have to respect that.
Then they can't shift
Yeah.
anymore.
It's really that simple. So I feel like this should be a self-solving issue. Next up, so these are, by the way, the larger bases thing is being tried out in AAA. The defensive positioning is in AA. Now in high A ball, the step-off rule, the pitchers are required to disengage the rubber prior to throwing to any base with the penalty of a balk in the event a pitcher fails to comply. They did this in 2019 in the Atlantic League, and it resulted in a significant increase in stolen base attempts and improved success rate of stolen bases.
I think
So that's two rules.
low-key, they want running. Can I tell you the most exciting team I've watched in my adult life is the Kansas City Royals that won the World
15,
Series and
yeah.
lost
Or 16, yeah.
14 and 15.
15, yeah.
It's the same team both
Yeah,
years. Running in baseball is way more exciting than home runs.
Well, the highest wins above replacement for a position player of all time, obviously, is Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
But early in his career, stole a lot of bases. Second on that list is Barry Bonds for non-pitchers, right, for position
Right.
players. Second is Barry Bonds. I think the third best position player is Ricky Henderson, if I'm not mistaken. He's somewhere in the top 5, and he's in the top 10 overall of all time, including fucking Cy Young and what's his name, the big train, Walter Johnson and people like that.
Yeah.
What is it? Highest career.
Well, on Fangraphs, third is Willie Mays.
Willie Mays, yeah.
Fourth is Ty Cobb, 800 stolen bases. Fifth is Honus Wagner, 700 stolen bases.
Henry Aaron had quite a few, as did Roger, what's his name? Stan Musial.
Yeah, Hank Aaron had 200. Ricky Henderson is 17th
Yeah,
all
I
time
was
with
looking.
1,400.
I was looking at modern era guys.
Yeah,
So people that played past 1930, basically.
yeah.
And yeah, he's way up there. A lot of these guys. Gehrig was obviously a slugger, but he played at a time when nobody else was good at baseball. Basically, it was like there were four
right.
dudes that were good at baseball, and they put up these gaudy numbers. It was like Heck Wilson had 191 RBIs in one season. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Get out of here with that bullshit.
Well, everybody else had to get off their shift at the mill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had to get off their shift at the mill, or they were not allowed to play professional sports because of the color of their skin, right? So
I have a theory about how if black people had played, we can get this in another episode because it's a little bit. I think if black people had been playing when Babe Ruth was there, his rate stats would have been worse, but his counting stats would have been better.
his volume would have been way higher.
Yeah.
For sure. For a guy like that, if the league had been more competitive for him, he probably wouldn't have been such an idiot all the time.
Well, not
because
even-
he loved to win.
Not even that. Pitching, no matter if black people were pitching or not, pitching was still Neolithic back
It was
then.
it was a courtesy, essentially. You were just throwing the ball to keep the game moving around, right?
The lineups would have been much better than the rotations.
For sure,
The breaking balls weren't what they were now, or even in the fucking 60s.
Yeah.
They didn't use bullpens. The rate stats would have been worse, but the counting stats would have been higher.
Yeah, for sure. He would have probably hit 900 home runs.
He would have had an extra 100 at bats every season just from the lineup turning over.
Pretty much, yeah. Last is stuff for the pitcher, right? So pickoff limitation, pitch timer, and ABS. So that's the automatic balls and strikes, which is dumb. I don't know what the fuck, man. Why would you want a machine telling you if it's a strike or not? Why even have the umpires out there?
I hate that. I hate it so fucking much.
Human error is a big part of the game. Now, if you want to review certain plays, I'm fine with that to get the right call. But the amount, if you look at these year-end reports on umpires in baseball, 93.6% or so of the time they're getting the call right. Is that really? So we need to fucking change this whole system because 6.5% is going wrong? That's a pretty small margin.
And by the way, the 6.5% they get wrong, you can cut half of that out because the players adjust to it and know where the strike zone is.
Right. Yeah, so for all low A leagues, and that's rookie ball, low A, there's 2 low A leagues, and then rookie ball, pitchers will be limited to a total of 2 step-offs or pick-off attempts per plate appearance while there's at least 1 runner on base. Now, that's weird to me because if I do 2 pick-off attempts, right, or if I do a pick-off attempt to start the at-bat and I throw a strike and I pick off again because he has a huge lead, now I can't do another one regardless of what happens. Even when he gets to 2 strikes and there's less than 2 outs, which is for a base stealer, that's a good time to run, right? Because you think you're getting a breaking ball. Yep. Now people are just going to run, so they want people to run more.
They want more running.
I don't understand why. Maybe that's a way to make the game exciting with low risk of injury.
It is.
Or something.
I guarantee it is a way to make
Speed
the game
up
more
the
exciting.
game, I guess.
Yeah, but if the stolen bases are more successful, there's going to be more walks because some guy's going to steal a base and they're going to intentionally walk somebody. You know what I mean? But
Set
now
up the double play type of shit.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that, the whole thing. I don't know if I like that one. In the Southeast Low A, in addition to the limitations for step-offs and pickoffs, Major League Baseball will be testing the ABS, the automatic balls and strike system. They've tried it in the Arizona Fall League and a couple of other leagues to ensure a consistent strike zone is called and determine what the optimal strike zone is for the system. I don't know what that means. The strike zone is the strike zone.
Just let fucking human beings do it.
It seems like the best idea.
What someone I forget who it was, but someone, and like you'll enjoy this, just knowing what you're into. I forget who said it, but someone was like, "I'm not worried about AI taking over the world. I'm more worried about like if AI fucks up the world, it'll be because humans rely on it too quickly."
Right. Yeah. Before it's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. The last one in the Low A East is game timers for all sorts of stuff. Right. So baseball is literally the only sport, the only competitive sport that exists that doesn't have a game timer of some sort on
Tennis.
Tennis, but you can be called for things if you fuck around too much.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like you can delay the game.
Yes.
There's no delay of game penalty in baseball.
Right.
And there should be, because why wouldn't there be? You know what I mean? Like things need to happen in a structured way for people to be able to enjoy it. They need to expect something. So if you go to a football game, I know for a fact that game is going to last a certain amount of time unless it's overtime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the game is structured that way. Structure baseball that way. I'm fine with that stuff. No problem with that.
Yeah, with keeping the game fast. That's fine.
I don't like the idea of just trying to speed up the game for its own sake and thinking that's solving a problem. That does not solve a problem. It does make it more efficient. Solving the problem is making it more entertaining.
Yeah.
The stealing base thing, maybe that'll do it. I don't know.
I do think running will help, and then letting the kids be fucking, letting Acuna and all these. I would say Juan Soto, but Juan Soto is a piece of wood. A great baseball player, but a human piece of wood.
Yeah.
But like letting Soto and Tatis and all, or Acuna and Tatis and all them just be fucking crazy.
I mean, it's fun. It's exciting. We like watching that stuff. I mean, who got more people to show up to the box office? Even some of the best, Anderson Silva or Conor McGregor.
Right.
It wasn't even fucking close, and Anderson Silva is 10 times the fighter and 10 times the champion that Conor McGregor could ever hope to be, right? But it's not about that. It's about entertaining the audience, right? So we like Deion Sanders's.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We enjoy those people. We like, if you don't want a guy to sit there and admire his home run as it goes out of the park, throw a fucking better pitch next time, asshole.
One of my favorite texts I got during last year's playoffs was when my buddies texted me, and he was like, "Is your team just all coked out Dominicans?"
Yeah, it is actually. It is. But with the whole base stealing thing too, and the changing of the seams in the baseball, catchers fumbling balls, is going to be a thing because it feels different in your hand, and you've been feeling the same baseball in your hand for fucking 20 years at this point. It's the quickness at which the ball will get from their hand to second base is going to be maybe not dramatically, but it'll be measurably slower, right? Because wind resistance works that way. Yeah. Or if you think it works that way at 60 feet, it's certainly working that way at fucking 120 from home plate to first base or second base. So, all this stuff is really interesting. I'm glad they're doing it in the minor leagues so I can just read the report at the end of the year because I don't want to see any of this shit.
You don't want to head up to the Round Rock Express and measure how it's going? No.
I would like to, honestly, the base thing, I don't know about for stolen bases, but putting an extra bag on the outside of the foul line and at first base is a no fucking brainer. Do that today. Why are we even talking about that one? Yeah. If that is in any way a problem, because first base is a premium position, right? A lot of our fucking sluggers are at first base. Why risk their health over something that you could fix that easily? They're already made. They're at fucking Dick's right now. You can go buy one right now. God damn it. You don't even have to do anything. Anyways, we've tortured you enough with our antics.
We have.
For one day.
Yeah. We're out of here for today. Like and subscribe to the Drinking Bros Sports YouTube channel and on all the podcast platforms, obviously. That's how we get jacked up there. And if you are not a part of the Drinking Bros Sports Facebook group yet, get in there because we have announced that we are going to do fantasy baseball leagues, much in the same way we do the football ones, where there'll be X amount of leagues, and every winner of every league gets a dope prize. We're also doing, to give you an idea of how fucking badass these prizes are, we are doing a March Madness bracket, and that's just one big one. That's not multiples, I believe. We're doing a bracket challenge as well, so join that group to get in on this. And the prize for the bracket is a Allen Iverson Georgetown signed jersey, right? Which is insane.
Yeah, that's a dope one. Actually, I kind of want that one. Ivan Huerta, have we given our World Series and MVP picks yet? No, we're gonna do an MLB preview show later in spring training, right before the season starts.
Yeah, pretty much like the week before, I would think, right?
And probably the week before. Yeah, and then to your point about Anderson Silva bringing views, you can disagree all you want, but the top UFC pay-per-view buys in history: UFC 246, McGregor versus Cerrone, 1.35 million. Number 2 is McGregor versus Diaz, 1.3 million. Number 4 is Alvarez versus McGregor, 1.3 million. Number 5, Aldo versus McGregor, 1.2 million. And nowhere on this list do you see Anderson Silva's name. So I am correct, and you are not. Not to say, again, Anderson Silva is a way better fighter. Yeah. And more entertaining, in my opinion, because he actually knew what the fuck he was doing. I mean, Conor can lure people in with that left hand, and it's one of the most dangerous knockout blows in the history of the UFC for sure. So that you can't argue with that. But the talent of Anderson Silva is crazy. He just got a little too cocky and slow.
I agree with all of this. As a fighting expert, I agree with all of this.
Are you a fighting expert now?
Yeah.
You're a white man. You're going home to water your lawn tonight, I guarantee you.
No, you don't. Tomorrow, maybe. You don't water your lawn after dark.
I don't know.
I'm handling that Sunday shit for the bonus Sunday read here. I'm handling that on the weekend.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't, again, go sign up for the Drinking Bros Sports page and make sure if you get your name on the list for fantasy baseball. If you want to do that with us, it'll be fun. We'll have some cool prizes, just like we do with the fantasy football stuff every year. And we'll see you next week for sports. For Spurt Ball.
Yeah, we have a big show.